All right, Chris Massad.
Hello.
How you doing, bro?
I am good. How are you?
Welcome to the Nagelbear podcast.
What's it called?
The Nagelbear podcast.
Nagelbear.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on.
Thank you. Me too. I'm excited.
All right, let's give you a quick rundown of who you are, where you came from, and your interest in archaeology and films.
Yes, I am Chris Massad. I am from Spirit Lake, Iowa, tiny town, northwest corner. That's probably why I like movies a lot. Not too much going on, especially in the winter. And came up here for school. Sorry, we are in Minneapolis right now. So I went to Gustavus Adolphus. Always a big fan of history, so majored in ancient history. No big deal. And one summer I did go to Italy for an archaeological dig, and it was one of the best times ever.
Nice.
Fantastic.
So, what your interest like? Because you're a big film buff too. Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, when you went for archaeology and all that kind of stuff, did that somewhat translate into filmmaking, or do you see like a correlation that you have with that?
I would say Indiana Jones was the first thing that taught me what an archaeologist was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there aren't Nazis. That sounded bad. I wanted to. Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, you're good to go.
Let's rehash
We know
this.
what you're saying.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there's not Nazis to fight.
I want to fight them and have a fun adventure. But there were rival schools, and it was mainly like a nerdy rivalry.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was us, this random fully national group, multiple schools, and then there was like the University of Texas.
When your time in Italy, you're talking about?
Yeah, and we were digging in the same ruined city.
Yeah.
And we found some cool stuff, and we weren't supposed to talk about it. And when they asked us at our overlapping lunch breaks what we found, like, we're told not to talk about it.
Yeah.
And they just got kind of mad, like, why are you guys being so goddamn secretive?
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun.
So what'd you guys find, or what was like on the dig?
It was right along the coastline of where Rome's port used to be. It's called Ostia.
Yeah.
And just a lot of random cool stuff. So the tough thing with archaeology nowadays is that a lot of people have probably already dug that same spot. And we had realized both Mussolini was trying to dig up the old Roman Empire and revive it in that same spot. And also the popes over multiple generations have dug up a lot of stuff, and they refill it in when they're done if they don't find anything too cool. So like the top few layers were just landfill of old Roman artifacts that were just kind of tossed away because they weren't that valuable.
Really?
So we went through there, found a statue, a few bits of pottery, and then one day we found this brick layer. They give me a pickaxe and they're like, just keep digging down. Let's see how far down the foundation of this building goes. We thought it was the foundation of a building. And the further down you keep going, we realized, or one of our archaeologists realized, okay, let's just say this. He told us to stop. He got up on top of the huge hole that we had pickaxed out of there.
Yeah.
He looked along the edge of this brick section that we had found, and he realized it lined up with an old section of a wall about a quarter mile away.
Yeah.
In both directions.
Yeah.
That was just kind of collapsed where we were. So
Yeah.
we just dug into a wall.
Yeah.
About 6 feet deep. But it was literally right where the coastline would have been. It was a sea wall that Augustus built.
Oh, okay.
Which is something really cool.
Yeah. So it's the seawall that they built back when the sea was that much higher, or something like that. How high were you off the ocean, or how far was it out?
Like 3 miles now.
Oh, so the inland. So that was inland 3 miles.
Yes.
Wow.
It has receded quite a bit.
Yeah, that's
lately.
crazy. Yeah, really. Well, that's pretty wild to think about. So 3 miles, and how long ago was that then?
Augustus, so literally like 2,000 years ago.
Oh, okay, so that's like a hell of a long time.
Yeah. And I was one of the few people to find something actually in historical context.
Yeah.
One thing was there's like a section of old Roman wall just kind of jutting out of the ground diagonally.
Yeah.
Had fallen over at some point, so we sweep out beneath everything at first, and I'm finding very brightly colored flecks.
Yeah.
I kind of get my head underneath it, turn over, and there's a fresco down there. It's got like bright green colors and stuff, like vivid. And they said it's probably not going to survive an attempt to lift it out, but if it does, my name might be in a book, like found by Chris Massad.
That's awesome.
No big deal.
Well, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's been about 8 years. Haven't heard a thing.
Haven't heard a thing. Yeah. So like when it comes to stuff like that, like how often do they find stuff and then kind of like in the movies you see like, oh, all this stuff comes about. Like, how often is there celebrities or rock stars within the archaeology community? Like, we know that guy keeps finding shit, or is it just so random and or is it more just people sticking with it and then just that's why they find things because that's all they do?
So there are a few people who are kind of well known. There's Ballard, who he found the Titanic, but then also that got him a lot of money to do other. He likes to do sea voyage excavations.
Okay,
so
yeah.
he went into the Mediterranean and he found Phoenician ships.
Yeah.
They're like the ancient Lebanese people, like the best seafarers of the ancient world. But he found intact jugs of wine.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard about that.
And they were sealed still. But apparently he tried it and it was just awful.
Oh yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, you'd almost want to make sure it's not like poisonous at that point. Like
that's true.
You're not gonna crack it open and be like, let's give it a shot, and then you got like some ancient disease like flowing through your veins.
Oh, good point.
Yeah,
could have gotten the plague or something.
Yeah, right.
Oh. That's the plot of a movie right there.
Yeah, right.
Oh man.
So I have seen there was like one that they unearthed. I think it was a Greek ship, and it was so far down. I don't know if it was in the Mediterranean or not, but it's because it's so cold or because of something, the lack of oxygen, that like it has been kept preserved.
Yeah.
You know anything about that, or what's the science behind that, or story, I guess?
Basically, stuff ages or oxidizes with oxygen. It rusts,
And
things
that's
like that.
Yeah, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, so if something is buried under a lot of pressure, it keeps it intact. That's why when we were done digging, they actually had us redo this huge fucking pile of gravel and just pour it back into all the holes that we dug.
Oh, okay.
And it's the best way to preserve it.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But also another famous archaeologist. I just want to plug this guy. His
Yeah, go
name's
for it, man.
Darius Arya, and he's had multiple TV shows.
Yeah.
He's probably the most famous now, although you only know him if you look for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he's had a few spots on History Channel. He's got a documentary on Netflix, actually, that I've seen him in. And he's currently got a show on PBS.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool. He uses ground-penetrating radar
Yep.
to find stuff.
Which is like the new stuff, which I've dabbled in slightly, like with drones, and that's how they're finding a lot of stuff with drones, with LiDAR. And I know I went to the UAV convention in 2016, and that stuff was coming into prominence. Even though both technologies have been around forever, the actual like radar, because you can do water penetrating radar. It's on different color spectrums, and this is all like I went deep trying to maybe I could do a business plan out or like make some money, and I ended up just doing some volumetrics for Corey or for some volumetric companies or whatever, like big rock piles basically. So we have one coming up in the next week.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just one client. But the LiDAR, and that's why I've heard of that, like them going into the jungle. Apparently, like South America is huge because they're starting to find cities that were around 600-700 years ago. So when the Spanish came, this is what I've heard, is there were like millions of people, and within like 200 years they were gone because of diseases brought by Europeans. Basically, just wiped them out.
Yeah, and especially the Amazon, there's so many
So
ruins
did
in there.
Did you dive into that, or you ever considered that, or?
I would love to do that, and the closest I've gotten with that course-wise would be GIS.
Yeah.
Geographic Information Systems, folks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Survey stuff. Yeah.
And
I know what you're talking about.
drones are becoming a big part of that because we had to do a lot of using total stations, things like that.
Yeah.
It's all right. But yeah, you're using basically they use it like on every construction project and stuff, just kind of using laser sights to fully measure where you are in terms of a GPS position.
Yep.
And we actually got to put in one of the markers for our site, so that'll always be there.
Yeah.
But apparently it moved while we were digging around it.
Oh yeah.
So they'll probably have to redo that one. But let's see, what were we talking about? GIS.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so drones are becoming a huge part of it, and also radar in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheaper for a lot of people to fund something if they know there's something down there.
Yeah.
So they're not wasting a lot of time. So yeah, using radar, using drones just to see if there's anything down there beforehand is awesome. And a good thing, like I'm going to talk about Italy a lot because that's mostly the stuff that I studied.
Yeah.
Greece too, but basically, especially in Rome, if they're doing any kind of construction project, they find something. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, I think in that part of the world, it's awesome diving into that history. That's why I love that region. I love Mediterranean. I love Afghanistan. I love, like, even if I could get into Iran, or even I'm trying to do a trip, and possibly maybe in the spring if my wife lets me go to Uzbekistan.
Are you looking for like Persian stuff?
No,
or?
just love the history, like the history of, like, you're looking at like Afghanistan. I fell in love with, obviously, because I was there, but the terrain I loved, and then I ended up falling in love with the history. And then, because once you deep dive into that, so I ended up writing a lot of papers in my intelligence class about Afghanistan. But there's places all around the planet that we don't have access to because of either geopolitics or government. Like Afghanistan, it's sadly the Taliban blew it up in 2001, but it was the oldest Buddhist statues on the planet. And
In
China
Afghanistan?
and Afghanistan, because Buddhism predates Islam by like an insane amount of time.
Yeah.
So the Buddhists, before Islam in, was it 624 AD?
Roughly.
Roughly, yeah, that time frame. I think it was like 624, 640. Before it swept through the region, it was prominently Buddhist. So there's these giant 100-foot Buddhist statues in Bamiyan that had stood the test of time of like over 2,000 years, built into the side of a mountain, and they blew them up like in the summer of 2001. And so now that's the only thing that remains so they were like in an alcove or whatever you call it. Basically, it was kind of like a like built into the mountain, but it was separate from the back. Well, I don't know what the hell you call it, but it's like an alcove or cove thing or whatever. That still remains.
Like set back in
Set
there.
back in, smoothed out, but that still remains. Man. But the statues are gone. And China wants to rebuild them, but it's like not the OGs though. You know what I mean? So
sorry.
It's all good. No, don't worry about it. But even that part of the region, like Uzbekistan, has even like some of the oldest buildings, and then sometimes they may or may not have stuff, but like once in a while, like going back and really seeing stuff that's been around, like China. God, I want to get to China and Japan.
There's so much over there.
Because over there, they have like almost their history has been consistent enough where they can track back even further than like we can, almost because of just like the hodgepodge.
And people, like, especially genetically, like people do like generations of their clan so far back. There's a show on PBS called Finding Your Roots.
Yeah.
Fred Armisen, he can go back, I forgot what it was, like 4,000 or 6,000 years.
Really?
It was crazy.
Because he's like, what's his...
Oh, so he thought he was Japanese. And apparently his grandfather was a Japanese spy against they were on the same side, but just keeping tabs on the Germans as a dancer, like in the arts exchange program. But then they found out originally he came from Korea, and then they found out his original last name, and they gave Fred Armisen his like ancestor book from this ancient clan, and it goes back so far. Like, we're talking multiple millennia.
Because they still have the history, or like they said, they still have like almost not history books, but they have the information.
Yes.
And whereas like us, we die after. I'm not die, but like ours ends after like 200 years because there's no info. It's gone. Like you can vaguely track the European system, but it's so scattered that you're peasants. Like
names changed a lot too.
Yeah, names changed, came over to America, and most people can't even track after that. Like, I know I got one for my parents. I got them a big plaque for their wall with like the shields. Like I think like that was 9 years ago. I gave that to them for an anniversary present, and it was cool. They had Allen and Nagel, but it's still like loosely like they only go back like not very far. Like my mom's adopted, so. Technically,
and they didn't keep.
They didn't go from her bloodline. They went from the name line, from Allen. Which was fine. Yeah. But if you're like going the blood and really want to know, it ends with her because she comes from a native tribe and she's Spanish, or Mexican, I should say. So.
Oh, okay.
So like
a native Mexican tribe?
No, Native American, and then Chippewa, and then she's Mexican.
Okay.
And I think she tracked it back to the Mayans, so we're part Mayan.
Oh, that's so cool.
I think. Don't quote me. That's what I remember hearing when I was a kid. But anyways, so it's great hearing like especially like in nowadays like history, like trying to keep it alive, and you have so much access to the information. You know what I mean? Like it's so cool that we can Google something, but yet like 20 years ago, you'd have to go to a book and you'd have to find, like everything's at your fingertips, and it can like being able to go somewhere and be like, that's where the spot was. Like me and Manna went to Italy, and it blew my mind. Like the Vatican blew my mind. Like they were
so
like,
overwhelming.
oh, this is Peter's or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know he was buried.
Oh,
like,
did you actually go into the?
Yeah, we went in. We went all the way down, and I don't
to
know
the necropolis.
the one that was underneath the Vatican.
Like, so there's the main Vatican. There's like this little area full of like
The
Pope's graves, and then
Pope's
beneath
graves.
that there's like where they think Saint Peter is, and
Oh,
like, it's like an ancient Roman necropolis beneath it all.
Maybe I think so.
Did it
'Cause
look
I remember,
like vacuum sealed and like dark, glassy?
I don't remember. I don't think so. Maybe we didn't see it, but they were like, he's
Next
buried
episode,
here.
folks.
Yeah. They said he was buried. That's why I was like, what? Like, we're fucking seeing this? You know, like it just in my head, I was like, oh shit.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah,
I
it's-
will
yeah.
say, as a history guy, they think he's buried dead.
Yeah, they think.
Sorry, Catholic friends.
Yeah. You know, I agree.
They found like part of a stone that says like the first like PET.
Yeah.
And then here, like EST, like the first half of each word, and they think it means like Peter is here or
Yeah.
was here.
Yeah,
Or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think though. Like that's where he was crucified and
Yeah.
buried upside down.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's saying. I was like, I didn't know any of that. Like, I'm not Catholic, I'm Lutheran, but even then, I was
Same.
like, I thought I knew that. I thought I knew some of the history, but then to be like, no, this is what happens. You're like, oh shit, man. So Vatican's on the hill that he was crucified upside down. You're like, oh, okay. And the Vatican means nothing other than that it was just called Vatican Hill.
Yeah.
Or essentially, they're like, it'd be like, it's Wood Hill, Vatican, because that was just called Wood Hill.
It
or
was one of
something
the
like
many
Yeah.
hills in Rome.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're like, yeah, whatever, Vatican. But
Some friends of mine got to go into the
oh, they did. Okay, so we probably did.
necropolis.
I
You have to
think-
do like advanced
Credentials.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then we definitely didn't because we showed up. We're like, we just paid for like the tourist.
Yeah.
Come early and it's fucking packed. Holy shit.
God, like that line went.
We took
was
an
it
early
outside?
tour. We took an early tour.
Was
No,
it-
no, it was. We showed up at like 7 or 8 a.m. We paid extra to get in an hour before, but there's about 20
a
other
lot of-
groups that were paid an hour. So we weren't the first group in, and we're like, oh, but it did help though because there wasn't as many people. And then, but by the time though we got to the actual Vatican or the St. Peter's church or whatever it is, it was there's people already going in it.
Are you talking about like with the murals on the roof and stuff?
No,
Or-
well, it's like the actual church area.
Oh, the
Like,
actual main. Sorry,
the main lobby.
St. Peter's
church
Basilica.
area.
Yeah.
They said the basilica. Yeah, I know I'm butchering this right now.
they built that by hand
Yeah, and that's the other
500 years ago. How do you
exactly.
lift that shit up?
And like people still don't know. I mean, they kind of know, but they don't know.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, we don't know. And that was only like what 1,000 years ago. Like
that was like
it's
500. Still,
yeah 500. Still very well
before
recorded.
cranes, like
Yeah.
or modern cranes, I
Yeah.
guess.
Still very well recorded, and they still don't know.
Yeah.
And totally nerd out with you too. I got to dig this up for Amanda too, because I know you'd probably get a kick out of it. Joe Rogan had on the guy. There's like two guys that support this theory about how our civilization is much older than it is. And they've gone with this for about 30, 40 years, and they were ostracized by the community. And now the community's like, you're right.
Like in general,
humanity. Basically, they believe that there is an event that happened that put us back basically like 1,000 or 2,000 or like even 4,000 or 5,000 years. So like because the pyramids are older than what they are, and same with the Sphinx. They're like no, the Sphinx is way older than what we expect, which basically all of it predates what everybody thinks now, like by like a solid 5,000 to 10,000 years. And so that's it's amazing the way he talks, and and like he totally breaks it down.
I think I saw this guy on there.
Yeah, I think he's a dude with a beard.
Yeah,
kind of older.
Did he talk about it like
he's
being
older.
like underwater?
Yeah, it's underwater, the water lines, and then also too they talk about the I don't know the carbon. I don't know the dating. Basically, like
radiocarbon
even dating.
yeah.
Well, even dating or the water lines and some other stuff. They're like, no, this doesn't exist. Like this was way older than what ever. Like more like way older than anything. And they think that it's maybe something to do with maybe asteroidal impact, like a small one that did raise the sea level and then it wiped everything out or something along those lines.
And I kind of like the flood theory because it's biblical. I mean, it's in every
religion.
mythology.
It's a mythology, every religion, yeah. And they think that's probably what it is that's what like an asteroid hit, it flooded, people survived, it wiped out. Because you think about it, like the
deep,
stuff that...
deep impact.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you think about it. I mean, then they were much further along, then basically we're like almost behind by like 5,000, 10,000 years, like, which is crazy to think about,
Yeah.
but that's what anyway, so it's really cool. And there's
Atlantis fits in with that. Sorry.
yeah, oh, no, yeah,
I love
everything
these
does.
kinds of
no,
things.
No, it's super cool. So like, I love it because and here, like, seeing what you've actually kind of studied all this stuff and gone through with archaeology. So is there people that do get ostracized, or they're like, these are the crazy people, because in film we have like, that guy's a crazy filmmaker, that kind of stuff, or, is there people like that are like, you're like, I think I trust this guy's theory, but it's not mainstream? Or what do you think of Egyptologists?
I remember the first time I saw that podcast, I was like, I mean, I've never heard this before. But then I looked the guy up, his credentials, and I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Maybe. There's no one really famous for pushing these theories, except there's like some dude on YouTube talking about how dinosaurs were plants and planted, but I'm not a fan of the
yeah.
Oh god, conspiracy stress me out.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I think History Channel's like most watched show is Ancient Aliens.
Yeah.
Like, god damn it.
Which is hilarious too, by the way.
I mean,
yeah.
I've tried, and they literally have to start off every sentence with "what if."
Yeah, exactly.
What if this isn't true? What, like?
Yeah. Well, the other thing though too is he brings up Egyptologists, and he talks about how Egyptologists are more, God, what do you say? They're more, they're not even historians. They're art people that get roped into history or something like that. And
so sorry, continue.
No. I was saying, like, so his biggest problem with them is like, they are dogmatic, and they won't even let a lot of people go into the pyramids. And they're like, why are you not letting these people in? Like other academics, because there's one main dude, and I've seen him on TV, and he's always on TV. He's like some Egyptian dude.
I've seen him.
Yeah, and
he's like the actual.
He's the guy that like
minister of antiquities.
Yeah, he will not let anybody even remotely study any more than what they already know. And I feel like, and there's places they've said that they've opened up that they won't let people go in and not excavate, but even go in and take a look.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because they say the pyramids are way older than what you expect, and it would destroy a lot of, which is fine. I mean, you can't be totally, married to your historic or archaeological, because it can change on a heartbeat.
I think it's might be more of a complicated issue than that. Mm-hmm. Like the Darius Arya, he's done a few shows where he like goes all throughout the pyramids. They give him full access, and there's honestly not much inside there.
Not much left, yeah.
2 paths to go through.
Yeah,
they look big, but there's not much in there. Mm-hmm. But also I think like there might be a lot of other issues with that, because you do not want to let typical people into these sites.
Yeah, which I get. Yeah.
Stupid shit will happen. You always hear about some tourist breaking the phallus off of a statue somewhere.
Oh, no shit, yeah.
Oh my god, it's one of my favorite stories to hear about sometimes. Like, some tourists will try to get like a selfie, and they're leaning back into the statue, and they'll break something on it, and they'll try to get away, but then the antiquities department arrests them, and they get fined and stuff. But what were we talking about? Pyramids. I think they let a lot of academics in the pyramids, at least. I don't know specifics, I guess.
Yeah.
My favorite, though, is King Tut's tomb. They've let people in there for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Or not King Tut's. What's her name? Nefertiri? One of these two. Mm-hmm. They've let him in for a long time, but it's actually starting to fall apart.
Oh, yeah.
And because when you expose something to oxygen,
it just starts falling apart.
Especially if it's that old and just got exposed, it just...
Yeah.
I feel like it might be more complicated than... It sounds a little conspiracy-y, where you're like, they don't let anyone in here, they're hiding something. There's not much to hide, folks. It's a bunch of old stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, no, I mean, like I said, it's cool to hear from somebody in the community, or that has at least worked around it, But yeah, I mean, that whole thing of like, but like I think they related it to that whole story as well with, like, even like in Japan, there's like cities underground. Like, there's people that are like, we think this is a regular rock formation. Like, no, it's not. Like, nothing. It's just straight lines.
Oh yeah,
like people that do scuba
off the coast.
There's like a massive
huge
city,
pyramid-looking thing down
there. Yeah,
there.
and they're like, it might be natural. Like, that's not natural at all.
It's very straight.
I don't care. It's too straight. Like, I'm a simple guy. It's not nature. Like, I don't know why you have to wrap your head around this. Yes. Like, it's not. I'd be like, yeah, that was man-made. And which is crazy. And no one knows. Even Japan, I don't even think they may think it's a lot. Obviously, a city that went under, but
they can only speak about it in general terms. Like,
which is wild if you
look
think.
At this.
Well, you think about it. Like, say that city is completely underwater. The same with some cities in Egypt. They just found a city that was a port that went missing like 1,000 years ago, and then they found it. They fully found the whole port.
Yeah,
and it's underwater. But then you have Italy, where Italy is 3 miles receded. Isn't that kind of crazy? Like some areas of the world, the water rose and it buried cities, and then Italy, you find a damn a seawall that's 3 miles inland.
Yeah, and they say where the Mississippi exits in Louisiana, it just keeps depositing stuff, and it's just going to keep getting further and further out there.
Yeah,
technically receding, but it's actually just the river depositing sediment.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Or just carving itself, or even more.
The world is weird.
Yeah.
Man.
Which is pretty cool, but I mean, like, if you're diving into, like I said, the archaeological aspect of it, and to see some of these societies like in their prime, like I said, South America, dude, I've been to Tikal and the other ones, not Cusco, maybe it was Cusco, I don't know, I think that's not Cusco, Tikal,
Teotihuacan.
I've been to the one in Guatemala and Belize. Tikal was one of them.
Should have brushed up.
I don't know. It's all good. Tikal was the one in Guatemala, and they started, and they like, oh yeah, see this giant hill here next to you? Like, yeah, they're like, that's a building. We just haven't uncovered it yet. Because then you look and you kind of see like 1 or 2 steps. So they haven't even excavated. So literally, they've found an entire city, and how massive it is too. By the way, like these are like 150-foot buildings.
Yeah, and they're like connected by roads.
And then there's
stuff.
roads. So they find the base, and then they've wiped it all away. And literally, like 50, 60 years ago, it was all that was like, or maybe it was 1910, 1920s. All they found was like the tippity top, and then they've dug 100 feet down to find entire cities, and that's how fast the jungle like swallowed up. Like jungle moves like super fast.
That's where like El Dorado myth came from. Just people finding the bare bones and going back and be like, look what I found. Yeah. Did you see the Lost City of Z?
Like the movie, or like? Oh, is that the one with Charlie Hunnam?
Yeah.
Is it good? I want to see
movie.
it. Is it good? Okay, because he, spoiler, dies in the end, right? Like, they don't come back.
Yeah,
right?
You can look this up, folks.
Yeah. And I've heard it's a really good movie, and
it's got like the best sense of adventure I've ever seen. Yeah. Like he's just like, I have no clue what I'm getting into, but God, is it worth it?
That's the Amazon one, right? They go through the Amazon.
Yeah. And they're like sent by the British to map out the actual border between Bolivia and Brazil or something like that. Okay. And he like finds pottery and just becomes obsessed with this idea of a actual civilization, like with buildings and stuff being there. And everyone thinks he's crazy. Yeah. But there's so much down there.
God, what was it? I wish I could recite the Rogan podcast this guy was talking about, but they are talking about the Amazon, where like the guy took the boat down the river. And he was like, he wrote about it. He's like, yep. And he was like, there's like at least 1 million people at these along the Amazon. And then they tried going back, like not even that long, like much like 50 years later. And it's like gone. All of it's gone. And they're like, how do these societies just, maybe he was lying, maybe whatever. But now they're finding those cities through LiDAR, the ones this guy was talking about, that are massive, that would support 1 million some people.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, oh shit, and this is along the Amazon River, and like it's just buried underneath everything. Yeah. Which would be crazy if they like start just the whole excavation project, and then suddenly there's like 5 cities that just like pop up. I mean, granted, they'd be ruins, but
they could for sure. I mean, they would have to deforest a lot of stuff. But
they would. Yeah. You have to clear out that whole area, but yeah.
I'm cool if it's just like right around it.
Yeah. Well, especially along the Amazon, you think about it, like if that's been around, and obviously I'm sure it's moved and shifted, but like to see it, you know.
I wonder if even like they had to abandon some of their own buildings just because the forest was.
Yeah, well, the one in Tikal, they rerouted the river. Like I remember them, like there was an aqueduct system that they built, and then they shifted the river at some point, or wherever it was next to it. It wasn't the Amazon, but
that's like Roman.
Engineering.
Yeah.
It's like hardcore engineering. Like, and they talked about how they had heated pools and they had the whole gamut.
God, that's like
so.
This is why I hate Ancient Aliens, because they're like, there's no way humans could have possibly built this stuff. No. Yeah. They built it everywhere.
Yeah, and they did. And then the other thing too with like theories, land bridges, the whole gamut. So, and people are like, well, we think it's older than what we think, you know, because they're supposed to be. It's just the crossing of it. It's even like say like even with Minnesota, like the Vikings coming through and actually discovering. Now, whether or not that's hoaxes or not, but
the rune stone they found, there were students that admitted to planting.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so there you go. The Minnesota Vikings.
Alexandria, Minnesota. I am sorry.
Yeah. There you go.
But even, Canada, they went through Canada.
But they went through Canada, so there's nothing to say that somebody did try to go through. You know what I mean?
I like the idea of it.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. Yeah, but who knows? That's what
Yeah.
So.
Oh man, I just started watching Vikings.
Yeah.
Not
Good
bad.
show.
Yeah. I like the fights in it. That's some realistic.
I think I watched the first season. I know it was awesome, but it's like one of those. There's a ton of shows I watch, and I'm like, this is great, and then I stop. There's no reason to stopping it. I just move on to something else because there's so much shit out there.
I kind of gave up on it.
Yeah.
It's the same throughout.
Well,
sorry, we're not critiquing.
No, totally. Yeah, So where would you want to go then if you ever like, I want to go to this fucking spot?
Oh, Jesus.
If they gave me LiDAR drone shit, just to...
Oh, okay. So in that, I like that.
Like
Thank you for making that specific.
I mean, like they like gave you we're going to give you like $500,000 for 2 years, go dig whatever you want.
Since I know the history, I would have to say Mediterranean. Let's go with, I've always wanted to go to Lebanon because I'm part Lebanese. It's where the Phoenicians were.
Buddy went there.
But Rome was through there.
Yeah.
Greeks went through. It's been colonized by everyone.
Yeah.
The Crusades were fought over. Like everyone went through there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just cool to see what ancient Lebanese people did.
Mm-hmm.
They invented the alphabet. No big deal. You're welcome, world.
You're welcome.
Or Western world, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. It would have to anywhere in the Mediterranean because, thankfully, the Romans took everything over and they're ruins that I can look at and understand the Latin a little bit.
Yeah.
In general, though, I would love to see the Asian steppe, where like Genghis Khan came from and the Huns.
Oh, really? So where would that be, out of Mongolia?
It's huge, like Mongolia, Russia, Hungary, like huge
steppes. What do they call them?
The steppe, STEPPE.
What is that?
And it's like this elevated plain, basically. And all throughout history, like originally they were called the Horde, and then it was the Huns and the Mongols, and it's where these horse arching armies came from.
Yeah.
And every now and then they would just come out of nowhere and disrupt the Western world.
Yeah.
So like Attila the Hun scared the crap out of the Romans.
Yeah.
Genghis Khan took over everyone he came in contact with.
Yeah.
But basically, they never lost battles. Mostly because they were archers on horseback. Like they were all cavalry. My favorite thing about the Mongols is each person had at least 7 horses.
Really?
And they trained them all to follow them like dogs. And like,
wow.
Sorry, I could go on and on.
No,
but
yeah.
In general, I would love to see that. And like, there are people there who still hunt like they did.
Yeah.
Horse archers, and they would train golden eagles.
Hence, I want to go to Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan.
That's part of it.
Uzbek, I think it was Kazakhstan. Oh no, Kyrgyzstan. Sorry, Kyrgyzstan.
That whole area is part of it. Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to Kyrgyzstan because I flew through Manis, and I was like, oh, this is a beautiful country, and the few moments I saw of it. And then Uzbekistan's pretty awesome too. I've heard with all the culture is much more cultural, but like Kyrgyzstan is all land, and there's like no one in it. Like even the tourist guidebooks are like, you're not going to find a lot. You're not really going to find much.
I would love to see some like nomadic hunters or something.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're like, you're going to stay with nomads like along the way.
That's freaking awesome.
Which would be dope. Like Amanda's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'd get to sleep in a nomadic thing and then like...
These people haven't changed for ever. Who
It's
are those
more-
people in like Saudi Arabia? The Bedouins?
Bedouins,
They've been around forever.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy too, being over in Dubai and Kuwait.
Oh yeah, you probably...
Yeah, there isn't much history there. Only because they're Bedouins.
And it's like inhospitable land.
It's inhospitable land, yeah. In fact, the only thing that was hospitable, wow, is just the coastline. But there's no like ancient ruins. Although apparently there's an island with, again, Alexander the Great's everywhere. But Alexander the Great, little, it's like off the coast. We never got out there. We wanted to, but you got to take a boat out to it, and it's got ruins of Alexander the Great.
He got out there?
Yeah, oh yeah, he got
the
everywhere.
Coast of...
Off the coast of Kuwait. What do you think about? It's a seafaring port.
I was gonna say he must have had to sail there somehow.
Yeah. So Kuwait and like God, what was the other one? Oman. So my buddies went to Oman. I didn't get to go, but they went, and they were like, "We got to go back," and I want to go back so bad. And it's apparently it's amazing. It's small, but it's amazing. And there's all these forts there from like ancient times, basically from to because it's a route. It's just like it's just routes.
The Fertile Crescent.
Yeah,
like
the whole
the
gamut.
Assyrians, the Sumerians,
Yep.
the Persians.
So inland there isn't much,
Babylonians.
but the coasts have a lot of history.
Oh,
Whereas like Dubai and Kuwait don't because it's just more sand. Whereas Oman has more rock face and is much more established.
Petra there, or that's in Jordan.
Jordan,
Yeah,
that's in Jordan.
Still.
Which amazing.
Yeah.
I never went. I still want to. Like me and Amanda had like a trip where we would want to start in Oman, go to Jordan, and then end in Israel. But I don't know if we'll ever. We want to. We don't know. Thailand's our next big one. So
I mean, ever since the last crusade, Petra has just been like,
blown
come
up.
on.
I know guys like would fly. They used to fly through there instead of Dubai. They'd fly into Jordan to go to Afghanistan when I was a contractor. But it was before my time. So guys were like, "Yeah, we'd go to Jordan," and guys would just get off the plane because Petra's like an hour away, not even from like the airport.
Oh,
so
for
people
real?
just like, "Can I go to Petra?" And not even that. I think it's like 30 minutes. So then like they basically like get in a truck, you go to Petra, see it, and then you're out.
How do you,
Or you can take like the Bedouin way and you can pay to literally ride in on camel and then spend the night in camels.
That's
and
worth
eat.
it to
And
me.
then- oh yeah,
Come on.
that's me too. Like I'm like, okay, well if I have time, I'm doing that. Then you sleep in the desert, you walk around, they show you some like other ruins, you go through the Valley of Kings and all that. Yeah, you
Oh
go through
my
the Valley
God.
of Kings. And
okay,
then
let's
on camel.
change my answer to all this.
Yeah,
Jesus.
right. Like that whole area, like, is amazing once you get to know it. And like Italy blew my mind because you could walk through, but like I miss going back to like I always call it the exotic places because everybody goes like Italy, Greece, Rome, but
Yeah.
the off the beaten path.
So like I went to
is-
Tanzania twice.
That would be amazing.
Blew my mind.
Yeah,
Just
Tanzania would be
the
amazing.
wildlife. I would love the Amazon. And also with the ancient ruins that are just kind of nestled within these forests, which is
Yeah.
a cool concept. But
Yeah.
the wildlife is freaking nuts there.
Tanzania. Yeah.
Or no, I was talking about South America.
Oh, South America
Yeah,
would
I
blow
would
my
love
mind,
to
too.
see that.
Yeah.
That'd be. Let me know when you go. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm actually looking for people to go that would appreciate it. That's the other thing too. Is like going to Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan. You want to go with somebody that would appreciate it.
I'm on board for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I've actually found flights. They're not hard. I'll have to talk to you about that then later.
You ever watch like the Vice documentary people?
That just travel.
Yeah, they just.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
we'll
started
go
watching
to-
more YouTube channel people, that go into these places,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, this is off the beaten path kind of deal," and it's like, "All right, cool, like it's worth going."
Like we'll go to where oh shoot, I already forgot the country's name where they do it's called lamb wrestling, LAAMB.
Oh, lamb wrestling. Yeah.
Like this tiny white dude from Vice
Starts
just goes
wrestling,
there
yeah.
and they just
Yeah.
take him down. It was so funny.
Yeah, if you ever watch Rambo 3, Afghanistan has it's a dead goat and they're on horses and I can't remember what it's called, but they like have to like wrangle the dead goat. They have to like pick it up and they have to like get it to another goal. It's a huge thing, and people were like, "Oh, everybody in Afghanistan plays this." No one in Afghanistan plays it except for like a very isolated area of Afghanistan.
That is
So
wild.
in Rambo,
Okay.
Stallone is like playing this game, and then everybody's like, "Oh, Afghanistan! They play with this dead goat on a horse." So everybody thinks this game is like, well, no one thinks it because nobody's like studying Afghanistan. But like, you're like, "Oh!" So when I got there, I was like, "Do you guys play?" They're like, "No, that's like some fucking weird tribe up in area of Afghanistan." And like, we don't do that.
He went to
I can't remember what it's called.
Afghanistan in one of these? I only saw First Blood.
Rambo 3. He goes to Afghanistan to fight the Soviets. Upon which, by the way,
I love this so much. God.
was amazing. Dude, he runs.
sounds
He plays
so much
chicken
fun.
with a helicopter and a tank and wins.
He's in the tank.
He's in the tank. And they show it
Is it on the
colliding
ground?
and exploding. The tank's on the ground. He screams the Stallone scream. He's like, "Ah, ah," and then he literally and it shows the Russian dude, and he's like, "Ah," and he goes, boom, and then they actually show it explode, like these models just blow up.
Oh my
And it's
gosh.
the most epic thing on the planet. And they literally, it's a great movie, by the way. It's actually really good action. The action's top notch because it's 1989. And
I was gonna say, when did the third one?
it was the third one came out 1989,
There's still
and
a Soviet
he's
Union.
jacked beyond anything. His blade has gotten this massive. He's
Oh, his
running
knife.
around shirtless, just yoked out of his mind, just every vein popping out, and it's so gangster. They raid a Russian compound twice. They have a giant end battle. There's a first beginning battle. There's 5 battles through the whole movie, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Everything you just said sounds fantastic.
You gotta watch it. It just blows your mind.
Is it like the gun of the tank runs into the
helicopter?
helicopter?
They collide. Yeah, they just collide them together. That's the dude. That's what I'm saying.
He's like shooting a minigun at
No,
him.
no. He's literally like this Russian dude's in the helicopter shooting up, everybody.
Like with a huge.
And they start going after each other. No, he's just driving the tank. He's out of ammunition. He's gonna suicide himself in a tank against a helicopter. But the dude in the helicopter wants to hit him I don't know. And he basically they play chicken and
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But dude, they have him scream like ah! And it gets back and forth and they just boom.
I love
they collide.
Super machismo, like
oh my
over
God.
the top.
I love it so much.
Fast and Furious 7.
Oh yeah.
Did you watch it? Or...
Yeah, it confuses me which one it is, but I've seen them.
Oh,
yeah.
Right, the one made
Dubai?
right after Paul Walker died. Yeah, Dubai.
Okay, where he jumps like through the glass in Dubai. Is it that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they do some ridiculous shit. And I don't remember which one's which.
My favorite part is just it's Statham and Vin Diesel. They're facing off in their cars. They're in a tunnel, and it just becomes chicken. Mm-hmm. And they just run at each other.
And they hit each other, right?
And they hit each other.
Yeah.
And they both get out, just crack their necks a little bit. And then Vin Diesel looks at Statham's car, and you can like see like a reinforced frame or something. He's like, you reinforced your chassis.
Yeah.
It's like going to a ring with weighted gloves.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, your mistake. You didn't plan on it. I was like, no one fucking planned on this. That makes no sense. Why did you do this? Did you plan this?
Dude, I rented Hobbs and Shaw, made it about 10, 15 minutes in, and then turned it off.
No.
Well, I had to go do something else, and then I had to go do something else, and then I forgot about it.
Oh,
because
okay.
I did not care to finish it. So that's what I mean. I started watching it, and I'm like,
it looks sweet. Damn it.
No, it's. I made it. I'm sure it made a ton of money, but I literally was like, I cannot. I was like, oh, I got to do something, and I was like, oh, that's right, I rented that. Yeah, I don't care. And then I just that was it. That was the end of it.
I was thinking about renting it.
Yeah, I mean, rent it. Go for it.
I mean, Idris Elba is a cyborg.
Yeah, he's
Come
like.
on.
It's whatever. Yeah, it is what it is at this point.
Shoot.
It's a joke of itself, but then they still throw $200 million at it, and people go see it as a joke, and it makes $1 billion.
They put it on the screen.
Yeah, it works. I mean, like it makes money. It makes a shitload of money. Yeah. But no, yeah. Going back to the travel, no. And like I said, that's. I mean, going off and seeing all that kind of stuff is just like it just like makes the world like that much bigger. That's why I love traveling. Mm-hmm. But like I also like going to the places where no one goes. Like and like granted, everybody, people go to Italy. Ireland was super cool. It definitely blew my mind in some historical aspects, but it's also there isn't a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's not as much as you think, but they do have churches that are like 1,500 years old that are just ruins in the middle of these little villages.
I'd just like to go backpacking through the countryside.
Yeah,
it would be cool.
Which we did. We actually went and found some stuff, and you're like, and it's just like a plaque, and it's like, yep, here's ruins built in like 600, and you're like, okay, and there's like a farm around it, and then it's just randomly, so they just build a fence around it, so the sheep or whatever just kind of go around it, and then you just have to. It's not even like on the map. We're like, what the? And we found our way to it. And then they have a plaque, and that's it, because there's so many of them. But it's not like Italy where you're like, you throw a rock and you fucking uncover like the last ancient civilization or something, or like, dating back to whatever. It's not as I guess robust as you would say,
Yeah,
but it makes sense for the Mediterranean because that was you almost think of like birth of civilization / kind of like crossroads as well.
Such a crossroads. The Middle East is just
so that whole place there is just it's just gonna be rich with stuff, And even like Greece, we were like there's so many places we want to go. But like when we want to go to Greece, we want to go diving, and obviously diving, there's apparently cities you can go dive.
God, that'd be so sweet.
We were gonna go, and we didn't do it, and we were gonna dive Italy. We decided to dive Portofino for the Christ of the Abyss, which was cool. And we decided not to do the Sorrento one, which was it was a ruin underneath the water, and it was only like 15, 20 feet underneath the water.
I was in Sorrento. I didn't know.
Yeah,
I would have known that was an option.
Yeah, it's a dive thing, and like looked it up, but we were kind of like we had spent a lot of money by that point, so we had to choose between pretty much the one which dive. Actually, it was that, and we didn't have enough time. Well, I think it was between Capri. That's what it was. It was actually between
Capri makes a lot more. Yeah,
Capri or that. And we're like, well, let's do Capri.
I love Capri. Yeah, that was so cool.
Although I know what you're talking about with the top. I think we went to the wrong mountain.
There are two mountains.
There's two mountains.
So like the tallest one has nothing on it. It's just like a grassy, or
So we did go to that one. We went to the one to the top that had like you rode a thing up to it.
Yeah, that was the other one.
Okay, so we didn't go to the right one. Yeah, we went to the one that was like, it was, I don't know what side of the island you would say that, but it was like, it almost seemed like a tourist place.
I think the north.
Yeah.
So there are two mountains on it, Capri and Anna Capri.
Yeah.
Capri's the one that has Tiberius built a castle up there.
Yeah.
The Emperor Tiberius.
I don't know if that's the one we went to.
And he would basically at one point he just had to get away from Rome, and also he just wanted his own existence away from it all, and people didn't like him much, and he went there and just had with a bunch of young men.
I did hear about that, where like there's that cave too, that water cave that you can only go in at certain times. We were like, oh, it's cool, but there was like this much water. They're like, sorry folks, can't do it. We're like, damn it, like because it was too high for the water, and they're like, there's only certain times of the year you can go in.
And the tides on Capri are nuts.
Yeah, they said it's weird. The waves. So then it was like, even if it's a good time at tide, the waves are too high, and you're like, fuck. You know.
I had some. So after we went to the top, we found this random staircase around the back of Tiberius's castle. Yeah. And we just kind of wormed our way down. Like, this thing was falling apart. I have no idea how old it was, but super dehydrated. There's like not water fountains everywhere and stuff. Yeah. We make it down to the bottom, and there's just this other couple there. It reminded me of the movie The Beach. Like, how did you guys find this? Like, we never see people here, and we're like, there's a staircase.
There's a staircase.
And it's just this naked dude and his naked wife and us three Americans. And
what's up, buddy?
Just had a good time. And there's like this random statue on a rock that was like tilted over the years. Just
really?
Like sticking out of the water.
Was it like a recent one, or is it like a...
It definitely wasn't ancient.
Ancient, yeah.
It was probably 1800s or 1900s.
Oh, the one you're talking about, I want to go see, the one in Cinque Terre with the... with Poseidon.
Yeah, there's a cave there connected to the ocean. Yeah. And you can like walk into it, and depending on the time of year, tides and all that. And there's like a huge cave of like a huge statue of a reclining Poseidon. I can't remember the name of it. And it's got like a few others in there. And you know, like the blue, they make it look like it in the movies. There's like blue light glinting through this shallow water with rocks reflecting. And oh, it looks so picturesque.
And no one knows about it, or nobody even goes to it.
Yeah, like it's available. It's just
nobody knows about it. Because there's so much stuff that we found out. We're like, what the fuck? This isn't in the guidebook. Yeah, you know, like
there's so many little things out of the way.
Yeah,
God, there's so much history, folks.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's just Italy in itself.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, you jump across to Spain or Portugal or Greece or any of that. It's gonna be.
Oddly enough, I want to hit up Tunisia to see the Carthaginian.
Oh
ruins.
Yeah, Tunisia. Yeah, yep.
Man.
Well, like that's, and then like Morocco too. That has a shitload of stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I heard it's like pretty rough though. Morocco, even to this day, to go visit Morocco is kind of that's rough. Like, it's a rough place to be.
Can imagine.
It's not bad, but you're also like, it's bordering Libya, I believe.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like in general, like it's not as friendly as.
Is that where Casablanca is? Morocco.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Casablanca is Morocco.
That'd be cool to see.
Yeah, but it's like not like going to, say, if you're like, well, I'm going to go to Kyrgyzstan or I'm going to Uzbekistan, where it's like it's tourist friendly. Like, it's kind of like people are like, be wary.
It's one of their main,
Whereas, like I said, like people, there's places like Eastern Bloc people don't know about, and they're starting to go to, and they're like, oh, there's tourists here. I got some guy went somewhere, I couldn't remember what it was. Maybe it was Kyrgyzstan or Kazakhstan. I think it was Kazakhstan. No one goes there, and it's so cheap. And people, he went, and he was like, yeah, they're trying to get tourist people to go, but obviously it's so hard. How do you get the word out? Look, people are fighting to go to Italy and finding shit, and then Kazakhstan, you're like, let's go to Kazakhstan. And be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we're going to go to Kazakhstan,
I'm on board for that.
I know, that's what I mean too, is like, and it's cheap flights, man. Like, I think I found Kyrgyzstan for like $900. You find the right, and then trying to find the right time to go.
I was going to say, what's the capital of Kyrgyzstan? Like,
yeah. I don't know.
God, that's cool.
I just know that we were in Manas Air Base.
Manas.
Yeah, but we flew to Manas, and then we flew to Afghanistan. So that was.
It had its own.
Yeah, that was for the military. Yeah, that was yeah. But like any of those places though have like an insane amount of rich history to go to and go see. So I don't know. Egypt would be amazing to go to. Obviously,
so much. Yeah.
And I watched one dude. he was actually really cool. I like his travel. It's more of a documentary-esque every time. Carl Watson, and I started following him on YouTube, and he goes and he went through Egypt, and like there were some spots I didn't know even existed in Egypt. So like when you like there's like on the river there's like these big towering whatever. I'm just doing an injustice. Like there's a bunch of spots in Egypt that people don't know about, but you have to like take buses to, and it's like a whole trip thing.
Yeah, there's like a temple. I would love to do a Nile cruise.
Yeah,
of
it was
some
like a
sort.
Nile type thing. Yeah.
There's like a temple island called Philae.
Oh yeah.
Tiny island with a big temple on it.
Really?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
There's Abu Simbel. It's like a huge rock face with gigantic statues.
I think that's the one he was talking about.
it.
Yeah. That's I think the one he was talking about. Yeah.
And the Valley of the Kings.
Yeah.
Or I guess Pharaohs.
Valley of the Pharaohs.
But I think they call it Valley of the Kings. Or, I don't know.
Yeah.
But just tombs everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, right. And that's why you're just like, you want to go, and that's Egypt. So it's like all these trips I like want to take, and you're like, all right, man. And it's honestly like it's not that hard to get going. I mean,
No. And if I go to Rome, I can like jump in on a dig with the company I dug with.
Oh yeah.
Again. Oh man.
So it was an actual company that you guys dug with?
Yeah, it's called the American Institute for Roman Culture.
Yeah.
And it's ran by Darius Arya, the gentleman I was speaking of earlier.
So do they take like volunteers? So like, or they pay you a little bit at least, or it's just like
it was a study abroad program.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of money. He's probably one of the few archaeologists who makes like good money.
Yeah,
doing
anything
it.
good money is like it's a living for him. Or
Yeah, he's got shows on PBS.
So he makes but those
Decent.
make him money. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like they pay him opposed to like he makes money off the digs or whatever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Um,
How do people like get funding for that?
you have to be a professor, work at a university, or you have to be like Hank Ballard, who, like, I think I know where the Titanic is. Find some good investors who have faith in you, and hopefully live up to it.
Unearth some crazy shit.
Yeah, you have to. Oh man, you got to get lucky sometimes. I feel like.
So how does that work in like the archaeological antiquities business? Say you found something like on your own, it's worth. How do you become rich off of it, and then how do you navigate around those? Because I've heard like people finding treasure, and then like the originating countries like fuck you, that's ours, and they actually take it back.
Yeah, you don't really get.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you like? It's been lost at sea for 2,000 years. This isn't yours. You know, it's not your country. It's mine. It's lost treasure. You know what I mean? Like, because I've heard about that kind of stuff.
Oh, this is where some really good cultural arguments get done. Let's say, okay, the Vatican Museum. Mm-hmm. None of that came from Italy. Like a lot of it did not come from Italy.
Yeah.
And so I flew through Ethiopia once. Mm-hmm. And they had an ancient civilization there during ancient Greek times called the Aksum Empire. Mm-hmm. And, that's another place I'd want to go. But they had obelisks there. A lot of them were taken over the years and put in Rome and Greece by the Romans and the Vatican, different time periods and stuff. And, the Aksum Empire, or currently Ethiopia, was like filling out petitions and like going to the UN and like,
yeah, we want our shit back.
Yeah, like that was stolen from us. It's part of our history. We can teach people about it. It'll bring more tourism to our country. I mean, I get why people want it to go back to the originating country. And to be honest, it's probably the side I lean on.
Yeah.
I don't like to speak in absolutes a lot, but that's the side I lean towards.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and so even we live in Minneapolis, folks. If you don't know where we are, and they're in the Mississippi River, like north of the Twin Cities. Yeah. During the logging days, they would chop down trees, put them in the water. They'd float them down. A lot of them would sink, though. And they say there's like tens of millions of dollars worth of logs down there.
Really?
And the state government, apparently they're still salvageable. But the state government's like, it's been 150 years. No one can really claim to own this. Yeah. All these companies have been defunct for 100 years. They don't let anyone take them out.
So you couldn't be like, I'm going to take one or two at a time. Because isn't that like preserved too? Isn't that like waterlogged stuff? Isn't it right? Isn't that worth a lot of money too?
I think it's still good. Yeah. Technically. Or might even be bad. I'm not sure how it works really. Yeah. Logs. But like.
Well, I know the waterlog stuff. The people like make money off that in the South that like that's sunken in the swamp or something. It's something to do with the water. Once it sinks, it like whatever it does, I don't know. I might be wrong, but
it sounds,
yeah,
there's something about it.
There
though,
is something like water
preserves
loggers,
it.
they call them. Yeah.
But what were we even talking? Oh yeah. I see these stories all the time. Like someone in where was it? Like Britain just found like a ancient Roman sword.
Yeah.
In the ground, and it was like something happened to the steel where it just got really weak. But it should go to a museum. Sorry, it sounds very Indiana Jonesy, but to me it belongs in a museum. Like this is part of your whole country's heritage. Yeah. No one has any specific claim to it just because you found it. Yeah. That's where I stand. Yeah. I don't know.
But say you like found treasure though, where it's worth like $1 billion. You're like, give me at least something. Because what are they going to do with it? Like, what does the country do with a chest full of gold?
Put it on display, I guess. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm with you. I'm with you that it should go to originator. But at the same time, though, if the ship sinks off the coast of America from 400 years, 300 years ago, 400 years ago, right? That's from a government that is, I mean, from like Spain, let's say, whatever.
Pretty common, actually.
Why would this? Yeah, common. Yeah. So why would the Spanish then get?
Oh, I don't think they do actually.
Oh, okay. Because I think that people fight over that. That's what I'm kind of talking about.
They go into long court battles and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't. There might be some international like UN kind of law that I don't know about that people can go to, or world court. Yeah. I can't remember what body it falls under. UNESCO. Oh wait, we're not part of UNESCO anymore. I bet we could keep it actually.
Americans could.
Yeah. It's kind of makes me nervous.
Yeah, it's like Because I remember I watched this thing on mammoth bones. I don't know why the fuck I did this. I like went down the rabbit hole, like when I was in Kuwait, about like dinosaur skulls and mammoth bones, and if you found one, how it works, dude. You can't. The U.S. government takes it. Like even if you find it on your land, I believe the government takes it. Like you can't sell it.
Oh, you can't. I wonder if there's a rule about not making money off.
I don't think you can. I might be wrong.
So I wonder if you could maybe keep. No, you
can't. Like it's like in the mammoth bones, there's only certain areas that you can find them. But if it's on someone's land, you'd have to ask for permission, and then you could sell it. So like mammoth bones and tusks are cool, and apparently they're abundant in Alaska. Like people go hunting for them, and they actually find them quite often.
Okay, that's cool.
Which is pretty dope as shit.
Yeah.
But I'm saying is like if you're in North or South Dakota, if it's public land, the government gets it. If it's your land, I believe. I don't even think you can sell it.
You might get a finder's fee or something.
I don't even know if you get that.
So if you're an archaeologist, though, like you've gotten government permitting to do it, and you might have worked out a deal with them where, like, you found something, you get to take it
like
to your museum.
That just like goes off and finds like a mammoth. Oh. So it's or whatever. Like you're not making
Your air freshener scares.
Yeah, no. Everybody looks at like what the fuck. And I get that. I agree with you. It belongs to a museum, but it's kind of like one of those things where like a dinosaur bone would be cool, but also you're kind of like, who the fuck does that belong to, and why can't I sell a T-Rex skull on the damn market? It's like,
I'm confused about this stuff sometimes because what's that auction house in New York where like they found a Da Vinci, they think, recently.
Oh, really?
And private people can like buy it. I'm not sure what can qualify as.
Yeah. And what it's valued
public
at.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so ridiculous how much that thing went for.
Oh, I'm sure, especially if you prove it or if it's semi-proof or whatever.
Yeah, and like I don't even think one person can afford it anymore. It's like a
conglomerate of people that really love art.
Yeah. Or I don't even. That might just be private collectors who like don't put it on display or something. I gotta look this stuff up. This is interesting. I'm studying for the LSAT, and this is a kind of law that I'd be super interested.
Are you going back to school for law or what?
I just want to try something different. So just studying for the LSAT right now.
Nice.
We'll see. Because in Iowa, in our hometown, people find arrowheads all the time. Yeah. And you can just... You're not supposed to take them, but people take them. Yeah. It's like Minnesota, too. You'll find them in Minnesota. I know a guy who like collects them. He has like a wall of arrowheads. Display cases full of them. I mean, it's like saying like, don't collect the bullet from like Europe because of World War II. Or something like that. You're like, hey, it's a whatever. Like... And something like that, it would be weird to like profit off of that, don't you think?
Off arrowheads or off
like a bullet from World War II.
It'd be weird, but if there's a market for it,
Yeah.
you know, if you like put in a case that this is from the battle, because obviously it's in that area, or you know, Battle of Flanders or some shit.
Yeah, but if you like try to like make a business out of.
Oh yeah, if you made a business, I would say, but I'm saying if you're like a local dude that's like, hey
This is
man, like someone's willing to pay $100,000 for this, I'm like, you're just a normal Joe, fucking, you know, here's $100,000, like thanks.
Are there like people who like collect and sell Nazi memorabilia? And
I'm
stuff?
sure there
Like,
is. I'm sure. Well, I shouldn't say. I'm sure there is.
There
I think
are.
there are, but I'm saying is like in a historical concept, you know, concept or in a context.
Text.
Sorry. Context. Sorry.
For a second, I was like, what?
You know, I mean, like, obviously, it'd be like, oh, that's crazy. Like, not collect, be like, I love the Nazis, but collect would be like, this is some dude. Like, that'd be cool to have, like, or I shouldn't say cool, but like, have like some whatever the fuck Adolf Hitler's gloves, you know, or something. You're like, we have them on display at our museum, or like, that's you know,
Biggest asshole in the world.
yeah, exactly. Or I don't know,
Or
something weird like that. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but like,
Yeah.
when people like, it's weird to make money off of some things.
Yeah.
As an individual, I feel.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I get it. I know what you're
interesting.
saying. I'm just curious, like, if that was something that got brought up, like, you know, obviously in your Italy, you find something that's it's Italy's stuff.
Yeah.
But it's almost kind of like to keep. Granted, people are doing it for passion, like archaeology for passion, but they should.
Yeah,
they got to make money.
People are not into it for.
Yeah, they're not in it for money, but there should be some. I believe some compensation, man.
I think they. I think they do. Like, especially it. I think there are agreements they work out with the government when they go agree to dig there. Like, we get some of the profit sharing from whatever this creates. We get the rights to, like, if you're from an American school, like, this goes in our university's museum for a while.
Oh,
or
something like that. Yeah.
It's probably my Indiana Jones. It's more of a grave robber.
Yeah, that's what everybody kept saying. Is like, it belongs in a museum, but he's a grave robber. Yeah.
Like, it belongs in my museum.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, I love those movies though too. So. Yeah.
So inspiring.
I know, right? I know how so many people that did. I had a guy that I went to school with. He's actually becoming a cop, but his ringtone is Indiana Jones, or is yeah, exactly. But he went to school for history, and I don't know if he's got his master's. He has his bachelor's for sure from U of M Duluth, and he did a dig in Italy. I think it was.
Oh.
Yeah, he did a dig there too, or he thought he was going to maybe go back. And I was like, well, I do drone mapping. And I remember talking to you about it. I was like, I'll fucking come over for a drone map. Because apparently his professor found some difference somewhere. And I was like, dude, I'll fucking map the area. And then you just have the GIS fucking map. Like,
I should give you the email of Darius.
Yeah, I'm sure he has people, but we looked into it, and like, I know it's not expensive, you know. I mean, to hire us, come over, whatever. But
I don't think many people do it in America.
No, not many people do it in America. They talk about it, but it doesn't cost much either. It's not like they pay us $20,000 every time we go, but it's almost kind of like hey, pay us for our flight, pay us for our day rate, pay us for the whatever, and we'll walk away every month. You know, it's not like you got to do it every week, you know. But you know, because we know like the ground control points and all that kind of stuff, and setting up like, and then printing the map out and gridding everything out, like it's super accurate. I mean, we do it; it gets within millimeters, you know. So it is what it, you know.
JS is
really cool. and you get to see it from the air, and a lot of people like to see progression. So like I said, like every month you know go out, map it, give them to the map, and you can see the progression, and you can kind of map the progression, both 3D and everything, and be like, this is here, and then you can, you know, map that area, be like, this is this long, this is exactly how many meters this is, exactly the spot to the grid coordinate, and zoom in, high resolution photos, because they're supposed to be taken from like 200 or 300 feet.
That's pretty close, actually.
Yeah, it's very close. It's better than satellite imagery, and on top of that, depending on what you're shooting on, it's super sharp. I mean, the cameras we're working with nowadays are like fucking spot on, and like I think I can map with that one.
Does that have a camera on it right now?
Yeah, that's got a little camera, 3-axis gimbal right there.
Jesus,
16 megapixel right there. Yeah. In fact,
Jesus,
I'll have to show you the Florence panoramic I have out there. I shot with that. Yeah. Yep, that thing. It takes amazing.
Folks, it's tiny, but it's got a really good camera.
Yeah. I don't know if you can do GIS mapping with that one. I know the new Mavic 2 you can.
Can that connect to a GPS system?
Yeah, it does. That's how it flies, actually. Yeah. In fact, you can't launch without. Well, it depends. It actually reads about 16 satellites, and then that's how it helps. It stays in one spot.
Yeah.
So the improvement over the years, it does that. So like the new Mavic 2, what was that? What was that? Oh, that was that. Okay. I didn't know if my camera went
Computer
off or not.
beep,
Yeah,
folks.
computer beep, yeah. So the Mavic 2 actually has an enterprise mode, and it's like that, but it's a little bit bigger, but it has thermals on it. You can swap out payloads. Yeah, man. And then it'll link better with the ground. So you can do the bigger drone or you can do a small one. The LiDAR ones, obviously need big ones. But like if you wanted to do like once a month, we could absolutely be like, hey man, once a month we'll fly out. We're totally qualified. Fly, map, that's it. And that's what's kind of cool about the South America stuff is they need the LiDAR to penetrate, ground penetrating LiDAR.
Yes.
And you can, if you're really good, we're not as good as that, but there's people that do that is you work in a program, I think it's Pix4D, and you actually run the LiDAR, and it takes a lot of data, not a lot, but some, you'll see it too. I've seen people do it. This live feed, and it shoots out all these million lasers a second, and it maps the trees because it gets like all these angles. So the angles, and that's how it creates everything. And like every dot has a GPS, so it's like it creates this whole thing. And what you can do is you can go in and remove the trees. So then you remove the trees from the data map. So what you would do in a jungle canopy, you remove the canopy, and then you can see the outlay of the actual Earth. Not, because you can't do that with what we call photogrammetry, because that typically goes off photogrammetry, which is not LiDAR. Obviously, it's just basing stuff off photo and distance. So it just pings distances.
The trees are part of the ground.
And then trees are, like, obviously going to throw off distances. It's not going to give you a real readout of the ground.
It'll look like Google's satellite view.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, but if you take LiDAR punches through canopy because it'll go through all the tiny little crevices and then hit the ground. And then you can actually wipe away the tree canopy and then you see the actual ground. Yeah.
God, that'd be nice.
And so then you can kind of estimate, but then they actually have stuff that ground penetrates. So if you walk under the canopy and then walk it, then it'll go through the ground until it hits something hard that's not organic.
Man.
Yeah.
Or
it's harder. It's a hard organic, maybe.
All right, let's save up for one of these and then go to South America.
Yeah,
and
which I've always been interested in. That and be like, people were like, "Oh, they're expensive." Like, well, you're willing to pay somebody, they can do it, and if you know what you're doing, you can make it worth it. Like, get the grant for the people to go. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's a disconnect. I don't know. It'd be nice to go back to the UAV convention now that it'll be. Actually, I think they probably ran it already, but they do it in Vegas. It was fun. Like, we just went out with my buddy, had a few beers, checked out Vegas, went to the convention, flew out, and and it was like, it'd be interesting to see because it like doubles every year because of the technology and then the uses for it.
Should have gone to like Area 51 and
way back
got
in the day.
those liars.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, but like using that though would be, I don't know. I thought that would be a cool little something, but maybe I'm wrong.
Man.
Yeah.
There's so much I want to do.
I know, man. So have you ever like set the goals to go do that kind of stuff? Like going out and
I need to.
like just save up and be like once a year I'm going or twice a year because you could do that. You're single.
That's true.
You got the cash flow. Be
ladies.
Like, yeah, ladies. But to be like twice a year going here, here, and here,
That would be.
Even if it's like a week or two,
I would do that. I would love that to be a filter on Google Maps too, just like the archaeological find section.
Oh yeah,
just like a little area where they found something once.
Well, there you go. Why don't you develop an app?
That'd be sweet.
Do something that could not, maybe it doesn't exactly say what's there, but you could create an app. There you go.
Yeah, and have like a little Wikipedia article with it. Like
$1 million idea. All you need to do is get out to the archaeologist, anybody that has like a novice that has a clue. They could download the map, go anywhere in the world, and on the app it shows recent digs, and then whoever logs it, because they have to do all the log, be like, yeah, we found this here. I don't know how amp people would do to say that, but you could also be like, you could maybe make it legal. You're going for law. If you put it on this system, you could have a sign a wave that says, I legally am the first person to ever find this shit. Now it's boom on there. You can't take that away from me.
Oh, that'd be dope.
So at least people that are like, I don't want anybody to know about it. You could be like, no, I found this. Finders keepers. If you want to donate money for me to dig it up, or just to let you know, this spot has already been tagged. You want to come and help, kind of deal.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Something like that exists.
But no, that'd be a fun. Just like.
There you go.
Folks, I'm digging this. Like, I found something. If you want to come hang out, it's my spot. But
yeah, exactly.
That would, damn.
There you go.
That'd get people interested too. It's good exercise for the group.
Because you could get a bunch of universities involved. Obviously people are, like you said, they're real shady. Like, we don't want you to know. Be like, that's fine, but you can just do what's known. Just do that. Start with what's known. and then you maybe pay $5 for the pro version. Have a free one, but then have a pro version for the people that are like, I'll pay $5 a month just to see the most recent, but to ensure people that are finding stuff to be like, no, I want to, I'm the original founder of this, but you can also, then it could create a social network of archaeologists like yourself, be like, that's cool. I'll help you. I'll help you for 10 days. I'm coming out. Or I'll help you for 3. I'm coming out to go to Kyrgyzstan to help you dig. And I'll dig for 3 days and I'm out. And your name goes on a list saying like Chris Massad helped.
Yeah, because the whole thing is it was shockingly informal when I went there.
Yeah,
because it's clearly just like a bunch of college kids paying to do the physical work for the big archaeologists.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, by the way, it's a fun vacation too. Like you can just look up. There are like websites where you can see where current digs kind of are happening.
Yeah.
And then you like contact whatever university or whoever's in charge of it and be like, I would like to be it's called just a volunteer. And you get to go dig. Yeah.
And so you could literally find each country and be like, yeah, this is going on. At least even if you just started with a university gig and just grow from there. Yeah. You don't have to be like, I have to try to do this all at once. Just be like, build an app, every country, what university's funding that dig, and just start from there.
You'd have to get like permission from that country maybe.
Well, not even that. You just because like I said, Minnesota or whatever has permission. So Minnesota would say, yeah, we are sending people over there. Yeah. Or this is a dig site that academics do. Because then if you're even a kid being like, oh yeah, I love Indiana Jones, you could download the app when you're a freshman. And then your school might not be hosting it, but you could click on the country, see what institution it is, talk to your school administration, be like, can you talk to these guys because I want to go to Tanzania or I'd like to go to wherever, Bolivia. And they'd be like, oh, okay. And then you make the rounds, and then they're like, yeah, we'll mutually pay because it always comes down to funding. Yeah. Be like, yeah, we'll fund it, and you just tag along with these guys. They're accredited.
Yeah, I think there's something kind of like, I mean, it only shows like the biggest universities, I think. I've seen a website that does this. Yeah. Sort of.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something like it, but even if you had an app but for free, but people that aren't in that community can be like, can I contact the school? I will tag along with your group.
Yeah. Or I was going to say, like, even if you're like abroad, traveling in Italy, look up an app. Oh, look, there's a dig happening here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like our phone number's on there. Give us a call. You'll see if you want to dig for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, and it just like opens it up. But I think it would open up for that stuff. You would have a lot of people doing that. But then it'd be opening up places like you said, Tanzania or Ethiopia. There's going to digs in
old stuff there?
Yeah. Who's going to Ethiopia? You know what I mean? Like, and then you're like, and then when you get out of college, you'd be like, I'm going to hit these dig sites. Yeah. And maybe you might make the network connection, or at least for those kids that are kind of thinking about it,
Then I get a show.
Yeah. Then you'd be like, hey, I got a show now or whatever, man. People could YouTube, like, check it out on the next dig site, or something, or you could make it at least consistent enough where if that's something like, it's like Airbnb. Obviously there's a shitload of Airbnbs, but what if you made like an Airbnb of that where it's like,
that's
two places in the country, but hey, I didn't know this even existed. Like you didn't know it existed. I don't know, there, I know there's places in, Pakistan, there's places in Iran, like that are mind shattering. I've seen photos, but you can't get in obviously, or maybe it just takes a little more effort because people can go to Pakistan. It's, you just have to navigate some of the intricacies of it, but at one point I went to Afghanistan, but there was a point where people were traveling there. Iraq, I think is a lot safer now without ISIS, but there's a point in Iraq where they let people in back in like 2003 or 4, but then ISIS, it just kicked off. They're like, that's
and
not
ISIS
happening.
Purposefully wrecked so much stuff.
Yeah, they wrecked a ton of shit.
They would. If there was a new Indiana Jones, like a modern one, they would be the Nazis.
Yeah, and they did because I remember seeing the videos of them like proudly breaking stuff that was pre-whatever.
Oh, like they did Palmyra in Syria.
Yeah,
which is.
I heard Syria had a lot of history before the Civil War kicked off, and a lot of shit's gotten blown up since then.
They had so much. Like the first ever library was there. Like, sorry.
No, yeah, but but that's what I'm saying is like they're Syria's in obviously their own conflict right now, but
so
a lot of those areas are you would want to go see, or maybe there's areas too like digs, like maybe not just archaeological, but maybe like dinosaur digs. check out so it
Yeah.
can span across different facets.
Yeah, I went to the Mammoth site as a kid in South Dakota.
Yeah.
It's a cool spot.
Yeah.
Like an ancient tar pit that they would just keep falling into. So they just keep digging down and they keep finding more and more mammoths.
Yeah, just like chilling out.
Like, oh, I'm dead. Like, just
and I'm dead.
drown.
And I'm gone. Yeah.
And I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Some asshole's gonna dig me up
Yeah.
millions of years later.
Well, that's the thing too, is that was what's cool about Alaska, because they're just everywhere, and that's why people were
didn't
selling
know
them.
that
So you
about
can go
Alaska.
online and be like, mammoth bones. You can get like a fucking tusk, and like people don't really regard it as like, why do you have a T-Rex skull? It's more of like, all right, it's a mammoth. Who gives a shit? But it's cool because it's like the tusk is, I think it's ivory or whatever. Maybe.
And it's not part of the.
Yeah, it's not part.
You're not doing any of the
Maybe
bad
it's
shit.
not ivory. Maybe it's more obviously petrified, so it's something else. But to have like a mammoth tusk though, like, and they have like full,
Or like a mastodon.
they sell them. They sell the like the whole thing, so you can get the whole curved tusk, and it's massive. You can buy the skull for like a few $1,000s, and that's how
interesting.
that's how plentiful they are, is because they're only a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
You're not paying like $1 million for this. You would pay maybe like 20 grand for.
They're not endangered.
Yeah, they're not. They're dead. They are fully extinct.
Someone did try to sell me a tusk
Oh,
in
yeah.
Tanzania.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
I was just like,
no,
ugh.
not gonna. Yeah.
Multiple reasons.
Yeah, the ivory of it, or because you can't even if you shoot one in Africa with the full tag, you can't bring it back, correct?
I don't
Like
think
game
so.
hunting,
No.
because I know they like.
People just do it to be like, I killed an elephant.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, I know that the conservation efforts that's the only reason why they even like.
Yeah,
it's
well,
like it's a double edged sword. People are like
people don't know, like, hunting actually
saves the animals in Africa.
Like
basically.
the pheasant was almost extinct in America until like Iowa, South Dakota, Minnesota, North Dakota. Like they did pheasants forever.
Oh yeah.
And made so much tax money
Yeah.
off of the hunting, opening it up, that it led to conservation efforts and like hatcheries and like
Yep.
so many pheasants now, folks.
Yeah, and that's what they brought back with like elephants were that way. Like I said, like even tigers, they're like, that's why people hunt tigers, and people get pissed. It's like, you understand the only reason why is that's where they make their money, because if you don't, it collapses. They did this in one of the African countries, and it collapsed within like 6 months, and people were poaching, and then they were dead.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey man, money drives it. Like people are just gonna eat it, either kill them and eat them, or you can kill them for trophy. Somebody makes $100,000, dumps right back into conservation, and you get to raise more lions. And
I'm just not a fan
all
of
that
when
shit.
people, I think it was like Putin, like the tiger that people say he shot. They tranked it a little bit, so
Yeah.
it was like woozy, and it was tied down.
Oh, and he
like
shot it,
to
yeah.
a stake, and he shot like.
yeah, that's not hunting. Yeah.
You were a KGB officer. Go hunt that thing.
Yeah, no. Well, did you ever see the one where the lion almost gets the dude? Like it's running at them, and he drops him, and it like hits the ground, and it like slides to his feet, and you're like, and like everybody's like, oh my god, like that was. Nope, count me out, man. Absolutely not.
I'm good for the rest of my life.
Yeah, dude. And there was one with the tiger in India, because they're known to eat people in India, and like he
they're,
jumps
like, the biggest there.
and like and just swipes this dude's arm and just fucking mangles his arm, just one swipe, and he jumps on the elephant, so that they're in the little water marsh, they're on an elephant, and this thing jumps and like swipes at him, and they like dude's arms just fucking see the bone. And
I guess I've only seen a lion or a tiger in a zoo, so I
Oh.
don't know what their actual
dude,
real
they're
claws.
fucking gnarly. Like they're way more dangerous than lions. Like
Do they
tigers are.
retract like a little cat's?
I think.
Oh, that's
I don't know,
cool.
but tigers are like way more dangerous, way more aggressive than lions are, and they like hunt, because down in India, they like there's a shitload of them, and they ran out of food in an area because of the population growth, and they've been eating people for like years,
Oh,
for
Jesus.
decades, and so they're like, people die from tigers all the time in India, and they like go after them. Like you'll get ran down. It's not like spook and it like runs away. It'll fucking charge you and then you die.
Like I know in Tanzania you can kill these animals if they're in your village.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just for safety's
Because they'll
sake.
fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like anything else. Like
Even an elephant just walking,
Yeah.
like trying to avoid you, could
yeah.
stomp on
It's
you.
like mountain lions in like California.
Yeah.
Like you can kill them. Like
I got mock charged by an elephant once. That was
Did you
cool.
really?
Our car did.
Oh shit.
And I got a video of it somewhere. But I have an old flip camera.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that was a brand back then.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the cool new thing, but like it was cool. They did that thing you've seen like maybe it was in The Lion King where like the adults surround the kids
Yeah.
elephants, and our car was like in the road going at one of these
Oh,
towards one of them.
Yeah.
We stopped, and it was like mock charging us to try to get us to like back off.
No shit.
And it was bigger than the car. Like we were in a Jeep
Yeah.
doing a safari, and
They'll fuck you up,
it
man.
was so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff though. Like
Yeah.
most people are like freaked out. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
So when you went to Tanzania, because I've been looking at stuff to go there, and like I know some of the stuff can get expensive, like the safaris, or is it not that bad? I know getting the Tanzania is expensive. Like I can't find anything less than like 1,300,
Like
1,400.
yeah, we had to go
You have to do like
Italy
2 stops.
to
Yeah.
It was either Italy to Tanzania or Italy to Ethiopia to Tanzania or Amsterdam to Tanzania.
Yeah.
It depends on the airport you're in too.
Yeah.
Like go to Kilimanjaro Airport.
Okay.
I think that's cheaper.
Okay.
But once you're there, it's probably the cheapest.
Really?
Like,
Okay. Because I know climbing Kilimanjaro people pay like almost $1,000, you know, or is that not even?
It's like the people who try to climb Everest, you know, like
Yeah.
they're super rich. They try
Yeah.
to buy the best Sherpa to take them up there.
Because I've heard people doing it, and they're like, you don't really need it. Like it's
mountain
not.
climbing alone is expensive.
Yeah.
Don't climb Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
Unless you want to, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I always wanted to. It's just on the aspect of like people charge them, but then I'm like, I don't know if you need, because like people go to the Everest base camp. That's a big thing now. But people, they're like, yeah, you can pay $1,500 for a guided tour, or you can do it alone. It's just that you're taking the risk. You have to like know.
People got.
Oh yeah.
I've seen them. They have to like climb across a ladder.
No.
over
That's
gorges.
to Everest itself.
Oh, the
Everest
actual-
base camp. Like me and
People
you
just
could
go.
Yeah, you fly into Nepal, you get a trip going to Nepal, and then you go to, I can't remember Kathmandu.
I mean, it'd be cool to see, I guess.
Oh, I would love to do it.
Yeah.
I've looked it up, and like you can fly, you can do it for free. Like you can walk all the way up. It's just a path to walk to Everest Base Camp, and you can do it. It's just that you have to stop every day at the next elevation, then go back, and you have to get adjusted to altitude.
Oh,
so you
yeah.
just can't walk up it. So it's just the guided tour. They just look after you and they make sure everything's good to go, which could help if you really want to make sure you do it. Otherwise, I've watched YouTube people where they're like, yeah, we're not paying the $1,500, and they did it right and they made it all the way just fine.
Oh.
Yeah. You get real
That'd be
headachy,
cool.
obviously, with the altitude change. Like it's, yeah.
And who was it? I think it was like John Oliver just did a whole thing about how it's getting ridiculous how people try to get up there to be the first person to
Oh, yeah. Everest is ridiculous. Now, that's a whole
do
different
whatever.
thing. Yeah, Everest, fuck that. No, absolutely not. No. Everest is like, you die. Like, there's like, you can only go so far.
and their guides die. Like
Oh, the Sherpas die.
they do the toughest part.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, is like they showed the line. It's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
You can only
Like,
spend like 20 minutes at or like you only get so much time at the top
Yeah.
so people can.
And then like people are not getting or dying because they're waiting in line because they're just not. And you're like, dude, fuck that.
And
Like,
they can't get the dead. There's like a dead zone up there. They
there
can't
is,
get the
there's a dead
bodies
zone.
down.
Yep.
And like you can see like tents. That's gonna be a weird archaeological site in the future.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Just a bunch of dead bodies laying on a mountain.
Yeah.
Well, at least they know what it is.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, these are a bunch of climbers. And they're preserved because of the cold. A lack of oxygen and the cold. They're like people that have been there for like 20 years and they don't look like they've changed. They're just, they look like they're sleeping. They call it like the sleeping.
Oh, so about Kilimanjaro, the glacier up there, they say
Yeah.
it's probably going to be gone pretty soon. So it
Yeah.
is actually a good time to do that, I guess.
Check those out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but once you're there, it's pretty cheap. It depends on where you stay, I guess.
Yeah.
So you're a Lutheran, actually.
Yeah.
Huge Lutheran. That's the first time I went there was through the Lutheran church.
Oh, really?
Yeah, huge Lutheran area.
Yeah.
And
Influence or whatever. Yeah.
and they have like Lutheran church compounds, kind of.
Yeah.
Or compound makes it sound dangerous. Though. Like everyone there is super nice.
Oh yeah, well I think most of the world there's compounds. Like you go to like Central South America, everything's a compound.
Yeah.
It's like their homes are just like the Middle East. It was actually super. It's the same.
Yeah, fenced,
They
kind
all
of a
have
fence,
not even.
gate.
It's a wall.
Yeah,
it's a
wall,
wall. It's a
gate.
wall, gated
Yeah.
walls, and like they put like barbed wire. It's all about just safety. And
Yeah.
every single house structure has it. So
Yeah.
you're like, all right, that's
The
pretty
favorite
normal.
one I saw, there was along the front wall where the gate was built in, they had concrete with like shards of glass.
Yep.
In
Same.
the concrete.
Dude, they had that in
like, oh my
Honduras. Honduras had the same thing.
And they actually said it was for the baboons. And if you've seen baboons, they are nuts.
Nasty
Yeah.
little bastards. Or not even say little bastards, but they're nasty, I've heard.
They're big if they stand up.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they're like the super sharp teeth and stuff like that, and they'll fuck you up.
They're free. They like attacked our car. They're probably the most aggressive animal that we saw.
That's scary as fuck.
And like they were going after a cheetah when we saw it. Like the one cheetah I saw, they were like facing off. Really? It was cool. What was I going to say though? But yeah, safari wise, if you stay in the actual safari park, that can be a little spendier, but it's probably
so
like
you can go to
night in an American hotel.
Okay. Oh, well, that's good to know. Because I want to go. Like, we want to go. And it's, like, definitely probably a big trip. It's a big trip for us. So, like, Thailand's our next big trip.
It's a trek.
Okay.
Like, just to get places.
Yeah, and that's why we, like, it wouldn't be, like, a week we'd go. Because we're doing Ireland, Scotland. So we do big, long trips. So, like, this year we're doing Ireland, Scotland in July. Ooh. And then our next big one, our big blowout is Thailand before we start having kids. So, and then, yeah. So,
whoa.
Yeah, well, that kind of cuts everything off. Like, it can't be like, hey, we got to leave.
No, I didn't know you guys were planning on that.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I'm getting, getting younger.
Little Nagel cub.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Get the Bear Clan going. But yeah, so but like going to Africa and South Africa, I've looked at South Africa, workshop in South Africa for like a month for like filmmakers and I always want, it's not that expensive, it's only like $2,000. And I'm like, oh, $2,000 for 3 weeks down in South Africa shooting wildlife. Like unlimited every single day. Or not every day, but like about for 8 or 9 days. Yeah.
Ooh, I would love. You should go off the coast there. Were you in like Planet Earth when that started coming out?
They made it as sharks and stuff, or
like the Blu-ray, like the show Planet Earth.
Oh yeah, I love that. I have it. Yeah,
like they made it seem like that's where all like the seals and the great whites.
Yeah.
Cool,
yeah,
that'd be sweet.
Yeah. So you could. So for me, like I wanted to do wildlife filmmaking at some point. Like I'd like to dive into it, but it's like I was like, well, I could go get a bunch of wildlife film from down there.
So Tanzania. We went to. The main one we went to was Ruaha National Park, and apparently it's been like untouched for 10,000, like forever. Yeah. So it was very primal area.
Cool.
And apparently, so hippos are the most dangerous animals.
Yeah, that's fun
fact.
That's what I've heard.
I saw alligators like avoiding them in the water. Jesus. Or crocs. I can't remember which.
Because they'll fuck them up. They'll eat them. Yeah.
And apparently they kill more humans than any other animal.
Yeah,
there,
they said that.
Except for like maybe mosquitoes, but like. Yeah. People lean against them like they think they're rocks. Yeah. And then it can like fully rotate its head around.
They'll like rip your fucking arms off.
I think they have, except for the great white, I think they might have the most powerful bite.
Yeah, so it just separates it.
And their mouth is
huge.
I can't imagine like.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. I love this stuff. Let's see. There's a really cool place I want to go there though. It's called Ngorongoro National Crater. Yeah. Huge crater, I think from a meteorite or maybe an exploded volcano. Can't remember which, but miles across when you're in there. Yeah. It's just filled with animals.
Wow.
Just full of animals.
Oh yeah.
Camera wise.
Yeah. All right, man.
Oh, sorry.
That's probably a good place to end it.
Oh,
go to Africa, go to Tanzania.
Yes.
We did an hour and a half, hour 26.
That's it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That went quick.
And it's there. I've kept them all around an hour and a half right now. I think the longest I went was hour 40 last night. So, but all right, man. All right. That was an awesome talk.
Thank you. Yeah.
Archeological digs.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right, sweet. Well, this is Chris Massad. Anybody find you anywhere on Twitter or Instagram?
I'm out there. Not. You won't see me post anything really, but take a Segway tour this summer. HumanOnAStick.com.
Hell yeah.
Human on a Stick.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. This is cool.
Absolutely. Signing off.